listening to Radicast 1980X. I am Adam Dravian, and with me as always is Jessica Safron.
Hey!
We are the creators of Satan Ninja 1980X, an 80s themed webcomic. We love the 80s, we watch stuff from the 80s, and we talk about stuff from the 80s on this podcast.
You sound real mad about it.
Do I? I'm not. I'm pumped.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
It's a good way to be.
Because this is going to be...
I'm pumped too. Yeah! What?
I'm excited for this episode. I like these two movies. They're interesting.
Oh yeah, these movies. Oh, I'm pumped about these movies.
This is another fantasy episode like the last one, but this one's more fantasy.
I'd say so.
Like high fantasy.
And I'm probably pumped in a different way than people would expect me to be, I think.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Not if they know you very well. If they've been paying attention.
Nah, they'd have to know me pretty well, I think.
So the two films we're talking about this time are Legend and Labyrinth.
Legend and Labyrinth. These are some big ones. At least I know that Labyrinth is for a lot of people. Well, and Legend is kind of like hated by a lot of people, I guess.
Well, they're similar in a way in that they both kind of flew under the radar during the release. Neither one were received very well, and they both have become extreme cult classics of the 80s.
Yeah, didn't like...
Especially Labyrinth.
Yeah, didn't a ton of these fantasy movies in the 80s just do terribly? And for some reason, they kept on making them, even though they were really expensive and hard to make and stuff, which is cool that they kept on trucking.
No.
No? Which ones did well?
Conan the Barbarian did super well.
Yes. Conan the Barbarian.
And that kind of kickstarted it all at the start of the decade.
Wow. And that one wasn't even, like, that much of, like, a crazy special effects movie.
That's why they had so many cheap Barbarian knockoff films that were like, oh, we could just, like, film in some, somewhere in Europe or...
But that's a different genre than what we were talking about with fantasy.
Yeah, this is more of a high fantasy movie.
Okay, so what about the...
The Neverending Story, I think, did pretty well.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Yeah, that's another one very, very beloved, just like Labyrinth. Maybe more so than Labyrinth.
Wait, let's get into the films themselves. You want to start with Labyrinth?
Yeah, let's start with Labyrinth.
So Labyrinth was directed by Jim Henson, kind of his follow-up to The Dark Crystal, an earlier 80s fantasy film, which was done utilizing all puppets and special effects. As a kid, I thought Dark Crystal was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I saw it as a kid. Maybe I saw part of it, but yeah, I missed out.
Did you not see it till I showed it to you?
I guess. I mean, I don't know if I'd say you showed it to me. I'd been wanting to see it for a long time.
Okay. And what did you think of The Dark Crystal?
I thought it was pretty sweet. I mean, it was, like most of these movies, awesome looking.
Right.
Visual feast.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's so cool with the special effects and everything, but then, like weird pacing.
Weird pacing and very kind of dreary for a kid's film.
I wouldn't
very
necessarily mind that.
Well, as a kid, it made me feel weird.
I could see that. I mean, the puppets look like they would make a kid feel weird. They made me feel weird as an adult, I think.
I think it's the part where the guy's just like getting his soul sucked out by the whatever. Yeah. Was it the crystal that sucks out his soul? I don't even remember.
I don't remember either. It's been a few years.
It did really poorly. And so Jim Henson thought, well, maybe it's because there wasn't a human element. Maybe people didn't want to see a film that was just puppets. So let's try again, only this time we'll have humans, just maybe one or two humans, interacting with a lot of puppet creatures. And that was Labyrinth.
Yeah, that seems to be like a recurring criticism that people tend to have in response to things not doing well, I think. Or people being afraid that something's not going to do well.
That it didn't have enough human?
Yeah, like this isn't going to do well because it doesn't have... not just a human element, but, like someone who's like super relatable to the audience. Someone that they can feel like they're like experiencing this for the first time. And so this character is too. And so then they're feeling more into it, I guess. I don't know. I don't get that.
A character to be the audience's proxy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I know they shoehorned that into the first Hellboy movie. So they had the human guy star in it.
Yeah, fuck that. I don't need no human guy. I've got this hell guy. That's all I need.
Right.
Yeah, I remember Joe Cartoon came to my art school to talk about some pilot for a cartoon that...
Who's Joe Cartoon?
Huge Flash animation guy from, like, the early days of the internet.
Well, he better be huge if he's calling himself Joe Cartoon.
He sold his name for $1 million.
Whoa.
And he said that it was a terrible decision. Although he bought a house with that money, he still regrets it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what he said at the time.
Okay, so what did Joe Cartoon, what about him?
Joe Cartoon was pitching a cartoon, and whoever he was pitching it to was like, yeah, there's just nobody who's relatable enough. And I think he did like the same thing where he just like kind of added a guy. Here's the guy that you relate to, and here's wacky stuff happening around him. I don't know. I feel like I don't really need that, and that just seems odd.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on the story.
Nah.
Okay.
Never need it.
Well, they tried that with Labyrinth. They threw in Jennifer Connelly, and I think that is always a good thing.
Always?
When you add, Jennifer Connelly,
okay,
that's a good thing.
I bet she could fuck up a movie, maybe. I don't know. I bet we could think of a bunch of movies that it would be really inappropriate for Jennifer Connelly to be in.
No, I can't.
No?
No. She should be in every movie.
Just live action shoehorned into the Care Bears movie.
Absolutely. Yep.
I guess.
Jennifer Connelly should star in the Care Bears movie.
I guess they could do that. I don't know. That'd be weird.
So Jennifer Connelly had already starred in, I think, one movie, maybe two. Her first big starring role was Phenomena. Fuck.
Just think, phenomenon is like the one that you want to say. That's the word that everybody says. Nobody really says phenomena.
I hear phenomena.
Okay, no. I bet the average person would say phenomenons.
The average person doesn't say phenomena anything.
Are you sure? No, people say phenomenon.
My mom would never use the word phenomenon, ever.
Never?
No.
My mom, I think she loves the movie Phenomenon with John Travolta.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's not this movie. This is Phenomena.
Phenomena is what I'm talking about. It is the movie that was directed by Argento and starring Jennifer Connelly. Only in the U.S. it was released as Creepers, I think.
That might be a better name. That might be a better title.
Creepers?
Yeah.
Because Jennifer Connelly is like master of insects.
Yeah, Phenomena just doesn't really tell you anything. It doesn't feel like very... The poster for the movie makes it look all whimsical, like Labyrinth or something. Like she has butterflies and stuff, I guess. I don't know. In the
it's a weird movie
poster. But then for Creepers, oh man, it looks all scary and stuff, which it is. It's a pretty creepy movie.
It's a weird movie. It goes all over the place, and then it
is creepy.
It has
creepier
Iron
than
Maiden
it is
busting out during scenes that are supposed to be scary, and it's like, well, that doesn't really work.
It super doesn't work, but I don't even care. I was very happy to hear Iron Maiden just like pop up randomly in the movie.
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite Argento films. It might be because it stars Jennifer Connelly.
Oh God, such a pedophile.
I didn't say it's because I want to fuck Jennifer
Connelly
in that movie.
She was even younger in that movie than she is
like
in Labyrinth.
14, whatever.
No, she's 14 in Labyrinth.
No, she wasn't.
Yeah. She might have been like 12 in Phenomena. You might want to look it up.
She was not 12. I think she was 14 in Phenomena, and she was also 15 in Labyrinth.
No, she was 14 in Labyrinth. Look it up.
Okay, we looked it up. It turns out Jennifer Connelly was 13 in Phenomena and 14 in Labyrinth.
Ha.
Yeah. What? Yeah. So Jennifer Connelly had started in Phenomena.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if she did 7 Minutes in Heaven before or after Labyrinth.
What's that? Oh, wait. That's a movie that I did not see because I didn't want to, right?
It's like a teen girl chick flick.
Yeah, I avoided that.
Where Jennifer Connelly basically plays herself.
I made Adam watch that without me because I had no interest.
Watching interviews with Jennifer Connelly, she's so composed and proper. You can just tell that she was like a rich girl, horse girl. You know? She was like a rich horse girl.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Man, that's kind of insulting.
It's not insulting. I think she's gorgeous. Obviously, I'm not saying she's horse-faced, if that's what you're implying.
Yeah.
She obviously doesn't have a long face. But from watching interviews with her, like when she was a kid, I really get the impression that she was one of those kids that was an extreme overachiever, the type of kid that would cry if they got an A- on any assignment. She probably didn't have a lot of friends, and she just focused on her schoolwork. Of course, she probably went to a private school. And her parents, of course, saw, hey, she's a very beautiful girl. Let's get her into modeling. So she just kind of went and did it because she just went with the flow. She did modeling. She ended up getting on the cover of a lot of teen magazines, like 17, whatever.
Yeah.
And then she started doing commercials and then kind of just accidentally fell into acting.
Did I ever tell the people of this podcast how when I lived in Hollywood as a child, my parents tried to get me into acting and stuff?
I don't think you have, no.
Oh, well, can I?
Sure.
Okay. I was born out there and lived in North Hollywood until I was 7 years old. Moved to Michigan. This is where my parents are from. Anyway, so I was in one movie when I was out there.
Movie?
Yeah, quote-unquote movie. It was like a documentary, like a TV special, part of some series that only aired in Japan, and so nobody here has seen it. I have a tape of it, though. I have proof. And I played 6-year-old Grace Kelly. And
I've seen it. It's true.
Yeah. And after that, my parents thought, oh man, maybe Jessica could do commercials. So they brought me to some thing, like some big open audition event thing.
For kids.
Yeah, for young kids. And they told all the kids that they had to remember to say, like, come up on stage and say their name and whatever number they were given and, like, some cheesy line or something like that in front of, like, a big audience and in front of, like, you know, a big screen that was showing your face all big to this audience. And it was pretty scary. And so when they called my name, when it was my turn, I started bawling and my parents had to like drag me out of the place because I just wouldn't get up. I was like absolutely awesome before, like up until that point, up until I had to get up on the big stage.
I imagine that is not a very uncommon reaction.
Yeah.
When little kids are put into these situations.
Right. Yeah. I felt pretty awful about it for like a few years after too.
Yeah, it totally,
I'd remember
totally destroyed your Hollywood career.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But if you hadn't have fucked up your Hollywood career like that, then you probably would have never moved back to Michigan.
Right.
We would have never met.
Yeah.
So it all worked out.
Yeah, I'm probably just missing out on like an awesome life.
Yeah, awesome life, lots of money, whatever.
Yeah, but anyway, years later, like I think just recently I brought that event up to my parents, that whole ordeal, and they said that they realized later that it was a scam or something. I'm actually not entirely sure like how it could have been a scam, but it was like some sort of like, maybe scam's not the right word, but it was some sort of like not a good thing.
It was some kind of genius scheme put on by the child porn ring.
Oh, fuck.
To try to find
Yeah, see, I dodged a huge bullet that was way huge for my child body.
Good job being such a fucking crybaby.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, my intuition really paid off.
Right, so that's your childhood Hollywood story. Now let's get back to Labyrinth. The gist of Labyrinth is that a girl has her younger baby brother swept away by goblins, what she wished for.
Yeah, I kind of wish that it didn't have anything to do with a baby.
Yeah, well, at least the baby's stolen by goblins. I know you don't like babies, but at least it's surrounded by monsters for, like, the entire movie. That's good, right?
Why does the baby have to be a centerpiece?
It's not, like, in the movie too much, I don't think. So, baby's stolen by the Goblin King and his goblins, and she has to go through a fantasy labyrinth to try to get her baby back.
Her baby?
No, sorry, her baby brother.
Mm-hmm.
Little too young to be having a baby at this point.
And she might have been able to have a baby by that point.
She looks like she could. She's developed. So, for the Goblin King role, they knew they wanted some kind of iconic pop star. Apparently, they considered Michael Jackson and Sting and David Bowie and decided to go with David Bowie.
Yeah, I wonder what this movie would have been like if Michael Jackson was the main bad guy.
It definitely would have been a different movie. I wonder if they would have kept the sexual tension that they kind of have between Sarah and the Goblin King. I wonder if that would have...
I thought they would have done that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like, Michael Jackson was hypersexual. He's always grabbing his crotch and stuff.
Yeah, but having an underage girl having any kind of romantic vibes with an older man is taboo enough. But to have the older man be like a black man, or like a pseudo-black man, whatever Michael Jackson is, that would just, maybe would be a little too taboo for them.
For the times.
Yeah, for the time.
I don't know, because, like, at that time, I could see your point if they had, like, a makeout scene or something, because I know that there were movies around that time where things like that could have happened, but then they were like, oh, well, that's too taboo, racial stuff, blah, 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 but there wasn't. And nothing ever happened, and there could totally have been sexual tension, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm sure, of course, there would have been some people complaining about it, but people would have complained about anything.
Did people complain about this at the time? Like the way that it was?
No, I don't think enough people saw it at the time.
Oh,
it didn't do very well.
Uh-huh.
It actually is a kind of a bomb at the box office.
Mm.
And that's really tragic because this was the final film that Jim Henson made before he died.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he tried to make a non-Muppet movie with Dark Crystal. I don't know if there ever... Is a Muppet technically just a puppet that's made by Jim Henson?
I think so.
Okay. Well, I guess it was a Muppet movie then. I guess they're all Muppet movies.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they count as Muppet.
But he tried to make something different with Dark Crystal, and it bombed at the box office.
And then he did it again.
Then he tried again with Labyrinth.
Something also different.
Yeah, and then that also bombed, and then he died. And I guess that the failure of Labyrinth killed him.
No, but he didn't die right away.
No, he didn't. It took a couple years. And I was actually...
Hey, that's a couple years that he could have been making, like, even cooler movies.
He was too disheartened.
No, he had his chance, you know, not sad. He deserved that to be his last movie because he didn't make any more.
Okay.
I don't know. How sick did he get? Like, maybe he got really sick right after Labyrinth.
I have no idea.
Maybe you're right. Maybe it did kill him slowly, the failure of Labyrinth.
Well, it's a bummer that he didn't live long enough to see it become a cult classic.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And when he died, I was in 3rd grade at the time. And I remember when I learned that Jim Henson had died, I actually cried. It's the first time, maybe the only time, I ever cried upon hearing about a celebrity's death.
Yeah, I don't think I ever have. I don't think I've ever cried.
You were pretty upset about Peter Steele.
Yeah, that sucked. I mean, he was all about, you know, singing about dying, though. So, I really should have seen it coming.
It prepped you.
Yeah, it should have.
Yeah, well, I was just a really, really big fan of the Muppet Babies at the time. And so I was just like, oh, the guy who makes Muppet Babies. That's very sad. And I cried.
Yeah. I was also a pretty big Muppet Babies fan. I think when did he die? I think it might have been either before I was born or before I was, like, a real legitimate person.
I don't know, sometime around 1990.
Okay, so I was probably, like, 1 or 2.
Right.
So, not a person yet. I was only crying about, you know, the stupidest things at that point.
Right. Anyway, at the start of this movie, Labyrinth, Jennifer Connelly's character, Sarah, she kind of seems like a super bitch.
Definitely.
She comes home from... she was hanging out in the park, and there's an owl there, and she doesn't even react to the owl. She's just sitting... Maybe she can't see.
What a bitch.
Maybe... That's not what I mean. I'm getting to the bitchy part. When we're first introduced to the character Sarah, she's in a park by herself, dressed in some kind of old-timey garb, and she's reciting dialogue from, I don't know, some sort of play or...
some book.
It makes her seem a little bit mental. I mean, who does that? I'm pretty sure a character is supposed to be 15. But what 15-year-old hangs out at a park, alone, wearing a medieval dress, and reenacts scenes from a book?
She's imaginative.
Sure. And then it starts raining, and she has to race home with her dog, and then her stepmom's like, oh, you gotta watch your little baby brother, because your dad and I are going out. And she's like, how could you?
Fuck you, stepmom.
Yeah, you fucking stepmother piece of shit. Yeah, she seems like a super bitch.
Yeah.
And then she goes crying into her bedroom, boo-hoo, and her parents leave. And then she's like, I want goblins to take my baby brother.
Yeah, except she's, like, actually reciting words from her thing that she was reading or memorizing or whatever she was doing in the park.
Yeah, I don't think the movie ever makes it too clear what this story is that she's referencing. Is it a story she's writing herself? Is it her favorite story?
I think maybe she's trying to memorize a book and it's just, like, acting it out or something.
Yeah, she's definitely not the one who wrote it because she keeps forgetting how a certain part of it goes.
You could, like, forget your own writing. I don't think that's totally unrealistic.
But it's like the climax with her and the Goblin King that she keeps forgetting how that part goes.
Do you remember everything that you write?
Yes. No. I don't know. Maybe it's her story, but it never shows. It never says what the story is.
But yeah,
it does show all through her bedroom little hints of all the characters she's going to encounter on her whimsical fantasy adventure.
Mm-hmm. That's probably what she's picturing all these characters in this story to look like.
Yeah, it's all heavily implied that it all takes place in her mind, and it's a big metaphor. Mm-hmm. But I want to think it's all real fantasy because that's more fun.
Nah. I don't care.
You like the metaphor aspect?
Well, it's not very ambiguous. It definitely just seems like it's all make-believe, which is fine to me.
So she's a very imaginative young lady.
Yeah, of course I probably enjoy real fantasy stories where it's supposed to be real more than when it's like, oh, it's supposed to be a fantasy. But I can appreciate this as well. Because it's, you know, it's pretty relatable, like when you're younger and playing make-believe or whatever.
Right, and we both were really imaginative little kids.
Mm-hmm.
You with your stuffed animals, me with my Lego minifigs and Ninja Turtle action figures. So, her little brother gets swept away by the Goblin King just like she wished for, and then she's like, oh no, I didn't mean it for real. I better go get him back. And she has 13 hours to make her way through the fantasy labyrinth to reach Jareth's castle, Jareth the Goblin King, David Bowie.
Yeah, this is a villain that only a 14-year-old girl could have dreamed up, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, this pop star dude who takes this little baby for some fucking reason.
To turn him into a goblin.
Yeah, and he's just really into being a goblin king. I don't know. There's something very young girl inspired feeling about this.
And if you happen to be listening to this and you have not seen the movie, I doubt any of you fit that description. But if you do, just know that Jareth does not look like a goblin. He looks like a glammed up, big-haired, tight pants-wearing guy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could see his dick, like, almost all of the time in the movie, too.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, you would.
No, wouldn't know.
I'm pretty sure I said something at some point. And you were
Wasn't
like,
looking.
holy shit!
No, I did not.
Look at that dick!
Nope, wasn't
yeah.
saying that. This is a lie. I'm going to cut that out because it's a lie. So the whole time that Sarah's in this labyrinth, she's just interacting with a whole bunch of different Jim Henson puppets, and they're all fucking awesome.
Yeah, oh man, especially the giant one.
Ludo.
The giant ones, I should say. Ludo, that's her buddy, and then there are some big bads.
Hoggle, the little gnome guy, is super impressive too.
Oh yeah, very impressive.
Hoggle, by the way, was voiced by Jim Henson's son, Brian Henson.
Yes, that's right.
And he was only like...
22.
Yeah, 22 at the time.
Yeah, super young. Really weird.
Yeah. He was not in the suit. That was a little person lady.
Mm-hmm.
But he did the voice, and he like directed the Hoggle team.
He was the Hoggle master, right? Yeah, he was like the Hoggle conductor.
Yeah, that's a great description, actually.
Yes, he conducted all of those puppeteers, all zillion of them. Oh man, and then the special features. Dang it, I hate it when this happens where the people who worked on it seem all apologetic for like, oh yeah, you know, I promise it was really impressive for the time.
It's so impressive for now.
Yeah, like, just because we have computers that could do anything, like, we understand that this is, or at least we, Adam and I, understand that this is a handcrafted robot, pretty much.
Yeah, the Hoggle had all his animatronic face.
Yeah.
Like, tons of articulation.
I mean, maybe they are talking about, like, animatronics got way better later or something, but...
Did it, though? I don't know. Yeah. It seems like it did.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I have seen some damn impressive animatronics from a little later. But
yeah, like
still.
Hellboy 2 had some really good things, animatronic-wise.
Right, but...
Of course, Jurassic Park.
But I think that they were... Yeah. I think that they were... They like, actually mentioned, like, we didn't have computers or something like that.
Well, they did. They actually have a CG owl in the
film.
Yeah.
Very obviously CG. Like Tron owl, I guess.
One of the early attempts, maybe the first attempt to try to do more realistic animal in CG form.
Like an origami.
Yeah.
Yeah, realistic paper owl, I guess.
Right. So Sarah goes to this labyrinth, encountering different puppets, and it's great. It's fun.
Yeah, but
until she eats the fruit and goes into a ballroom scene, which kind of drags. The movie kind of has a lull.
A little bit of a lull.
Like, that scene seems like it was, here, this is the scene for the girls to appreciate.
No!
And for the boys to kind of zone out for a while.
The boys and the Jessica.
Yeah.
we do know somebody who is going to a real-life Labyrinth-inspired ball soon.
Masquerade,
yeah, so we better not be talking shit about that Masquerade. She'll be very unhappy.
It's a lovely scene. It's just, it just kind of drags the movie down a little bit. I do like the goblin lady with the junk on her back. That's pretty cool.
Junk on her back. Yeah.
The junk lady. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, one of many, many cool things in this movie. Yeah, I think the whole ballroom scene is just the part of Sarah's whole private make-believe session that she's having throughout the movie. The part where she...
The meta plot.
Yeah, the part where she's just overcome with just how fucking hot she is for Jareth and, like, just starts masturbating. And that's just, like, what she's envisioning during that or something like that. I don't know, that's just, that's my take on that scene.
Well, it's canon for me now.
Yeah, that seems like something that a girl like her would probably be doing.
Yeah, I heard that's a deleted scene, actually.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Can't have Michael Jackson be the love interest, but you could totally have a masturbating 14-year-old.
Totally. Probably my least favorite character would have to be the
fox
terrier, whatever the hell that puppet is.
I don't know what your problem was.
I don't know, he was too obnoxious.
Actually, I guess I could see, like, he's kind of repetitive, you know.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind him that much.
And then the climax, when they're going through the goblin town, just before Jareth's castle, it's like all chaos breaks loose. And then the film spends too much time just focusing on general chaos, and it kind of loses momentum.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I remember being frustrated by this movie when I was, 14 or something, last time I had seen it, before this most recent time that I'd seen it. Just frustrated at the Alice in Wonderland aspect of it, how it just sort of like all kind of falls apart at the end, you know, and it's like nothing matters, everything. I mean, it's not quite as nonsensical as Alice in Wonderland.
No, and I actually like the climax with Jareth in the MC Escher
the music
room.
Video scene.
Yeah, it's basically a music video. It's exactly like that.
There were some cool aspects to that.
Yeah, and really cool seeing like some of the behind the scenes footage of how they did some of those shots.
Mm-hmm. This is definitely worth looking at all the special features, behind the scenes stuff.
And watching on Blu-ray because of just how beautiful the film is. And when you watch it on Blu-ray, you can just see sparkles.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere.
Lots of glitter.
The sets were just 90% sparkle.
I think both of these movies that we're reviewing right now have
very
that
sparkly.
going on. Yeah, lots of glitter. All
80s fantasy equals sparkles, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, at least a certain whimsical style of fantasy.
Yeah.
Also, when you watch on Blu-ray, the matte painting when she's standing on the hill, like looking at the labyrinth with Jareth, it's just so obvious. Like, that's one of the negative things about Blu-rays, when some of the special effects are like become way more obvious as special effects. Whereas if you watch on VHS or DVD even, it could kind of blend in a bit more and it doesn't jump out being quite so obvious.
Whatever. As an artist, I appreciate being taken out of the movie for one moment to go, oh yeah, this is a matte painting.
Someone had to paint all that shit.
That's like really impressive.
So,
hang on.
What?
There's one thing I want to say about that fucking baby.
Okay, Toby.
Toby? Ugh.
He was originally named Freddy in the script, but they changed the name to Toby because Toby was the name of the baby and he would only respond to his own name. So,
Yeah.
which makes
dumb
sense.
Baby.
What? He learned his name.
Can't even act.
Yeah. Can't act, you stupid 1-year-old.
Yeah, he wasn't even one, I don't think.
Yeah, well.
No, okay, when we were watching the special features, we realized that, it revealed that the baby was the very recently born son of the concept artist of the movie.
Yeah, the guy who drew all the little goblins.
Yeah, and the guy seemed like such a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, he talked
Like
a little bit
such
like Salad Fingers.
Yeah, he talked like Salad Fingers. He looked way nerdy. Had the giant glasses, creepy mustache, creepy hair, creepy dude. You know,
Talented creepy dude.
Oh, yes, his illustrations were great. Wondrous concept art for this movie. And then he brought up how his child was conceived while they were in pre-production.
Uh-huh.
He didn't have to say that. He didn't have to say it that way.
You were really hung up on the fact he said conceived.
Like, why did he have to, like, remind everybody that he fucked somebody? He could have just said, like, and then my son was born. Like,
even
you know,
creepy
for the
people
movie,
can
in
have
time
sex,
for the movie.
Jessica.
Oh, man. Oh, it was weird. And then we saw some behind-the-scenes stuff that was recorded later.
Yeah, more recently.
And he was looking a little less creepy, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would cut to some interviews with the baby, now grown up, and, you know, he didn't look as creepy as his dad, which is great, because I thought that baby was going to grow up to look hideous.
I thought that baby was going to grow up to be fucked up because his earliest memories would be surrounded by goblins singing and
Are you
laughing at
kidding?
him.
That is, like, that's enrichment.
Uh-huh.
That's great. No, that baby probably grew up to be so smart because of all the stimulation.
All the David Bowie contact.
Uh-huh. But anyway, then they were interviewing the baby man who was a baby.
Uh-huh.
Then he brought up, I was conceived while this movie was in pre-production.
Yeah.
And it's like, God damn it, why do you have to, like, constantly talk about conception with this movie?
You have weird hang-ups with this word.
I don't want to think about this man conceiving anything except for the concept art for this movie. And then a baby just happened to, like,
Well, there
be
you go.
dropped into his lap by a stork.
He conceives for a living, okay? So that's just the terminology
Oh, man,
he's
that's
used to
a really,
using.
really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
So
never
get over
mind.
it.
Oh, yeah, it was perfect.
Also, David Bowie didn't actually do the ball juggling
Oh,
himself.
yeah, very important to
He
bring that
had
up.
a juggler kneeling down behind him, reaching up around and pretending his hand was David Bowie's hand, and so he had to juggle these glass balls without looking at what he was doing.
Yeah, and he fucked up a lot, and David Bowie just laughed at him a bunch.
Well, what else are you gonna do when you're just standing there?
Yeah, I imagine he was laughing with him.
Sure.
In the interview, he was like, yeah, I don't think he was having a good time, but I certainly was. Just something like that.
It seems like it would have been a fun movie to work on.
Yeah, but, like, when you're crouched down into David Bowie's ass with, like, your arm reaching around him.
I
like,
guess
oh, man, some people might think that's a lot of fun. Never mind.
it probably wasn't too fun to be Hoggle, the dwarf lady who played Hoggle, you know, being stuck in that suit with the big, heavy animatronic head on.
Oh, there are probably
Or
lots
Ludo?
Yes.
Or Ludo, because that was like a 75-pound suit. It was massive.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so fucking awesome looking. I would love to just have that Ludo suit and just kind of like go out at night, just walk at the streets. Like, that would be so fun. Why don't people should do that?
Didn't you go out once driving with a skull mask or something?
I used to keep a skull mask in my car, and I'd randomly, like, I'd be driving down the highway at night, and I'd put it on, and one time I was driving next to this guy. He was just driving by himself, and I had my skull mask on. It was like 3 a.m, and I just, like, was keeping the same speed as him and just, like, staring at him.
God, you're an asshole.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. And I did that for, like, 10 minutes or something, then I just sped off ahead.
Oh, my God.
But it gives them a story to tell people.
Could you even see out of that thing?
Yeah, I could see out of it.
Could you see his reaction?
He just, like, was, like, nervously, like, not looking at me, just, like, eyes dead ahead.
Are you sure that he saw you?
Yes, because he was trying to, like, slow down, and I would slow down. He'd try to speed up, and I'd speed up and just match his speed.
Oh,
anyway,
God.
that's nothing to do with Labyrinth.
Oh, no, that's great.
That has to do
Glad
with
that
me
you-
being an asshole when I
Glad
was
you
20
told that
years old.
story. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm lucky I never got pulled over for doing shit like that.
Yeah.
So we're going to rate Labyrinth now.
All right.
Satan factor.
Hmm.
I'm going to say it has a high Satan factor because Jareth is the archetypical Satan figure in, like, folktales and stuff. The Tempter.
Yeah, sure, I guess. I don't know. I can't help but think of the next movie we're gonna rate, and
That doesn't...
how
nope,
every other
unrelated.
movie pales in comparison.
Doesn't matter.
To this other
You're-
movie's Satan Factor. So shit.
You gotta rate Labyrinth on its own.
All right. I guess he was like a fancy Satan.
He's a
Kinda.
fancy... He was a 14-year-old girl's Satan.
Yeah, I'd say so. You know, I never had a thing for David Bowie. I know, like, when I was... Oh, yeah, I'm surprised I haven't brought this up yet. When I was 13, I had
Yes.
a very, very good friend who was obsessed with this movie. Basically, like, I was afraid that she might have ruined it for me.
Because
Like,
she'd quote it all the time.
Yes, and it was almost ruined. Because...
and Jessica's reluctant to watch it again because
a little
of
bit,
this.
A little bit. I was
And
still...
I was like, you need to be more familiar with Labyrinth.
Yes,
It's pretty
it
big
had been
80s
a long
film.
time. Yeah, because I remember, she had me watch it. I think I had seen it before even, but she was like, oh, let's watch it. And I was like, okay. And she had a big thing for Jareth, thought he was super hot. And I was just like, I don't know. He just looks kind of like an old woman. And
He actually does look a little bit old woman-y. Like, as I was watching this movie, it's like, so many girls think he's so hot, but I think it's just the character, less...
Yeah, I think it's
than-
the makeup and the style.
We were
or
also
something.
watching it on Blu-ray, and we could see...
No, it didn't
him in
matter.
HD.
Like, I had seen him in not HD, and I
Right.
thought the same exact thing. But anyway, yeah, as I was rewatching it now, every time Jareth would say something, I would just have my old friend's voice saying that line, like, in my ears still. And I was like, just shut up, get away, go away. I just want to watch the movie and not think of somebody else saying these lines.
So you weren't able to enjoy Jareth's badass voice?
I guess, I could appreciate it.
Such
But-
a pity.
Oh, God, yeah, that was, something she liked to say a lot. But yeah, it was such a pity.
Yeah.
Did he say such a pity or what a pity? Either way, I could
don't
just picture her saying it. And, yeah, she would even read me, like, Labyrinth fan fiction. Like,
Ooh.
like the
That
sexy
she wrote
kind.
herself?
Yeah, sometimes. Or from the internet. I think, like, fanfiction.net had a lot of that stuff.
And it was all erotic.
Probably. I know at least some of it was. Maybe most of it. I don't know. But it's like, man, I'm so not into Jareth. I don't know. I think that she liked to do it to, like, get to me.
Is this what middle school girls did? They just, like, read erotic fiction together?
I don't know about together. She, like, read it at me, I think.
Was she getting all hot and steamy? And
no, I think that she did it to annoy me. Maybe on her own.
Was this actual, real, sexy erotic fiction, or was it just absurd, silly, it's supposed to be funny?
Maybe both? I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Like, I know that she liked romance novels and stuff, and I never did. I've never read a real romance novel.
I know for me and my friends, when we were in middle school, none of us really admitted to jacking off. So was it like that with middle school girls? Did you, like, not admit to each other?
It depends on what year you're talking about. Like, today's day and age.
No, I'm talking about you, personally.
Oh, me personally?
And your friends.
I don't know how often we would, like, want to just bring up masturbating, like, yeah, I masturbated yesterday or whatever. Like, do people do that?
Well, yeah, I don't know, maybe. But with my friends, it was more like, oh, you were probably jerking off, and they're, shut up, dude, I was not. I don't do that. No. You jerk off.
You know
like,
what?
No, I don't,
I remember in, like, 5th, 6th grade, masturbator was, like, an insult.
Of course.
Yeah. Ooh, you masturbator or whatever. Which, that might be like the equivalent of calling somebody a jerk once upon a time. That's probably the origin of that, isn't it?
That never occurred to me.
Yeah. You jerk offer?
In 8th grade, I had somebody say, make a fist and move it up and down, just like gyrating it with your wrist.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that, and they're like, oh, yep, you have really big jack-off muscles, so you must jack off all the time. I was like, no, I don't.
Oh, man, what a pervert.
Yeah, but I did. They knew.
Oh, man.
I had such buff jack-off muscles.
Well, you know what? I actually found some silly erotic fiction
that you wrote?
Well, actually, me and 2 of my friends, including the Labyrinth chick, from 8th grade, we were in the middle of English class, I believe. And, like, one of us would write a sentence and then pass it under the desk, and then the next one would write a sentence and pass it under the desk. Just continuing the story, And it always, like, immediately devolved into just, like, super sexual stuff. But, like, these other 2 girls were really actually into romance novel stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, they weren't taking it super seriously anyway. But still, I viewed it from, like, more of, like, a South Park point of view of, like, sex is funny and disgusting, I guess.
Huh.
Yeah, but it was, like, all about Dragon Ball Z characters, and then, like, she would always pop Jareth in there.
And you actually posted those on your Patreon.
Yes, I did. So if you want to pay me $1, you can read them.
Yeah, if you want to see middle school Jessica's
13-year-old
erotic
8th grade
Jareth Dragon Ball Z fanfiction she co-wrote with their friends.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, that's Satan Factor. Pretty good. Pretty good on the Satan Factor.
Yeah.
Ninja Factor. There's shit. I don't know. It seems like there were probably guys sneaking around the labyrinth. There were guys dressed in all black with a black background behind them when they were filming the scenes with the
that's incredibly ninja-y.
Yeah, the flaming looking weird guys that could, like, break their body apart and put it back together.
Off their heads.
Yeah, they had the song. I forgot. It's a weird sounding song.
Something about taking off heads, I think.
Because most of the songs were sung by David Bowie, because he wrote the songs for the movie, and it makes sense. I guess he wrote that song too, but he's definitely not the one who sung it.
Yeah.
Because it's very, like, Jamaican kind of feeling, like reggae.
Yeah, I could see what you mean.
Yeah, so not much of a Ninja Factor, but behind the scenes Ninja Factor is pretty up there.
Yeah, I'd say so.
80s Factor, I think Labyrinth is very much a product of the 80s, uniquely so.
Yes. That dress that she wears in that ballroom scene, that alone, I think, just pumps this 80s factor up out of control.
And David Bowie has the hair of an 80s hair metal dude, and all the puppets, and just the special effects, and everything. Just the movie itself, it's 80s.
Very.
Boob Factor. Oh, boy, I gotta walk on eggshells here.
Oh, man.
Jennifer Connelly is a babe.
Uh-huh.
Not quite the mega babe she'd become a little later, because she's only 14 years old in this film, but
yeah.
you can see the babe stuff going on.
Kind of.
But yeah, see, they're trying to downplay how much of a babe she was, because they, like, gave her this vest or something, so it's kind of downplaying the boobs, and
the vest goes over her ass, too.
Yeah, it's long enough where it covers her ass, and you don't get to really enjoy her tight jeans that she's wearing.
God.
Of course, I mean that purely as a jean connoisseur.
Yeah, no, actually, Adam was kind of confused at first, I think. He was...
Confused?
Like, yeah.
Why is she wearing clothes?
Yeah, what are they doing hiding her? And then I think you said maybe she wasn't very developed yet or something like that. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure she is. It's just a movie about a girl who's supposed to still be kind of a child, but is on, like, the cusp of womanhood, and they don't want to, like, show this boobacious woman, you know? Probably a little bit like in The Wizard of Oz, where this girl is supposed to be kind of, like, a little bit on the young side, so they gotta, like, strap down her gigantic melons.
You say you think they actually strapped them down?
I'm pretty sure I heard that.
I know in Wizard of Oz. Yeah. I mean in Labyrinth.
Oh, no, they just slapped a vest over him. I think that was probably enough. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tell her not to wear a crazy bra or something.
And Jennifer Connelly's like the only... Well, I guess her stepmom's in the movie. But for the most part, Jennifer Connelly's like the only human other than Jareth, the Goblin King. So that's your boob factor. And I guess...
Could we have a dick factor?
Oh, God.
Because, like, that package was almost out of control, I think.
No. We cannot have a dick factor.
That's not fair.
Yeah, I know it's not like.
Well, I mean, I guess it's not really. I mean, a dick and boobs, they're not really like, you know.
They don't equate 1-to-1.
Right.
No.
But what does then?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Jennifer Connelly, it's weird because she can look pretty young in this film, but she can also look pretty mature. So very. Very Lolita type gray area she's strutting around in.
Sure. I mean,
tempting
guess...
poor old man Jareth.
Oh, man, sure.
Trying to land him in jail.
Yeah, they made a lot of interesting points in the behind-the-scenes stuff about the themes of the movie and stuff, like about, oh, she's on the cusp of womanhood and she's, like, attracted to this guy, but it's, like, during that ballroom scene, she realizes it's kind of scary because he's, like, actually into her because he sees her as, like, a woman or something, like, oh.
She wants to be seen as a woman, but she also doesn't want to because it's frightening, and she still kind of wants to just be in her make-believe land.
His dick just seems so big and probably hurt really bad. Pretty scary.
Right. Okay.
He looks like an old lady with a big dick.
Mm-hmm. So, humongous mechanized goblin construct that is also named Humongous factor.
Oh my gosh.
Was pretty good here.
Oh, I loved that. That was great. Like, during the climax of was that the climax? That was pretty much the climax.
Yeah, it's like the gates of Goblin City basically come to life as this giant mechanized, like, it was actually a giant puppet, like
a giant
metal
robot.
Puppet. Yeah, a giant robot that they really constructed.
Yes, a real giant robot.
And it was actually that size, and it was like, what? It was like 50 feet or something?
A zillion feet.
A zillion feet, yeah. I think that's what the exact stated stat.
Yes.
And it's fucking sweet.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't even remember it, because it's in the movie so
I didn't remember it
briefly.
either.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. I couldn't believe that I didn't remember such a thing. Because I love giant, clunky robots.
Yeah?
Love them.
Well, I love Humongous.
And I
like
love...
Lord Humongous.
Yes.
Those are two Humongouses in the 80s now.
I love giant, clunky monsters, too, like Ludo. So those are two very cool things to see in this movie.
You didn't really like this movie as a kid. Like, overall rating now, what would you give it?
Probably like 4 stars, I guess, for all the cool shit that was in it.
So, it's interesting that when you were its exact target audience, you were not feeling it at all.
I think it was because of the hype. You know, it was just hyped up too much.
Your friend hyped it up too much?
Yeah.
But now as an adult, you can watch it and appreciate it.
Sure. I could appreciate it at the time for, like, the same reasons that I appreciate it now, too.
You probably didn't want to like it because she was so adamant that you would. You're like, fuck you.
I don't know if she
like
was adamant that I would. She's just adamant that she loved it.
Oh, okay.
And how hot Jareth was and stuff. And I was just like, oh, man, no way. No.
I don't like him.
I don't like him.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. along with The Dark Crystal and The Neverending Story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and watching it now, it was great. I would give it 4 stars.
Yeah.
4 out of 5.
Yeah, 4 seems like a good number for this movie.
I think that's the first that we've not given 3 to in a while.
Yeah, in a while.
Okay, now, Legend.
Oh, man. Now, this was a surprise.
Yeah, it was a surprise when it came out, too, because Ridley Scott, the director, had made Alien in 79, I think 79. And then after the success of Alien, which was a lower budget film, but it did really well, then he followed it up with Blade Runner, which was a very psychological, hard sci-fi, I was going to say post-apocalyptic, but it's just cyberpunk, right? It's basically like the cyberpunk film.
Yes.
And that was awesome. And then he followed up these 2 movies with a high fantasy fairy tale, just straight fairy tale movie. And everybody's like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, it's Legend. And the version that people saw, for the most part, was a heavily cut down version with Tangerine Dream doing the soundtrack. But it's not his original version. His original version was much longer. And he had Jerry Goldsmith had done the score. Jerry Goldsmith's the guy who scored a whole bunch of shit from Poltergeist and Gremlins and Supergirl and a lot of stuff in the 80s. And beyond and before. He did like Star Trek the Motion Picture, blah, blah, blah. And so he did a very traditional fantasy score, epic score.
It was good.
Yeah, it was great. We watched the director's cut.
Yeah. Oh, he spent like 6 months on that score too.
Yeah.
I think.
He spent a long time.
Yeah.
So what happened is Ridley Scott had directed this film that was like 2 hours long, high fantasy, and when he showed it to people in theaters, during a test screening, there were some people smoking weed, and they kind of were laughing at parts that Ridley Scott didn't want them laughing at. And then he's like, oh, God, this sucks, fuck it. This movie sucks. And he went
Nobody's gonna like it.
Yeah, and he just, like, took
an axe.
Yeah.
And started chopping.
He started chopping, and he just chopped, like, the movie in half. He cut, like, half the movie out. He's like, just get it. I gotta make it more fast-paced, more suitable to...
More rock and roll.
More rock and roll. And, fuck the Jerry Goldsmith score. It's too traditional. I'm gonna have Tangerine Dream score. And Tangerine
they're rock
Dream,
and roll.
Well, they're not. They're actually a...
He did say the word rock and roll.
Well, they're more rock and roll than Jerry Goldsmith.
Right. They were a pop group. Whatever,
kind of. They were an electronic music group.
They were popular.
And they were known for doing... they actually did a lot of pretty cool soundtracks in the 80s. They did Firestarter.
Yeah.
They did Risky Business. I know that's your favorite film.
My favorite film? What? Oh.
That was Sarcasm.
Yeah. Oh, God. Risky Business was... not that great.
They did 3 O'Clock High, which I think is one of the best 80s teen movies. It's one of my favorites. And they did Near Dark, and they've done they have over 100 albums, and they've done over 60 soundtracks.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well,
they're prolific.
Ridley Scott was like, oh my God, I need Tangerine Dream, and I have 3 weeks to get this score in the movie again.
So the movie was totally rescored at the last second by Tangerine Dream.
3 weeks. Yeah. So, I guess they were good guys to call on for, like, some super quick work.
Yeah, they did a good job, especially considering the circumstances.
Yeah, from what we heard, because I don't think we heard the whole thing, but we did listen to, like, quite a bit of the rescore.
And throughout my life, I had seen the theatrical cut, which was the only version available for everybody until recently.
Yeah, I had only I'd seen like the first couple of scenes of this movie, maybe, when I was younger.
So this movie is about Ferris Bueller's girlfriend.
Yeah.
What's that actress's name? Mia Sara. This was like her first film, I think.
Yeah,
she was only 16.
She was 15.
Oh, was she 15 during filming?
She repeatedly said, I was a 15-year-old girl in the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah, a 15-year-old girl who had a big crush on Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
According to her.
That's kind of odd.
Yeah, but she starred opposite Tom Cruise.
Uh-huh.
And so Tom Cruise is Link, and she was Zelda, and it's basically a Legend of Zelda movie. Right?
Sure, I guess.
Well, there actually are a lot of rumors that this is the movie that inspired Miyamoto to create Legend of Zelda. There are a lot of similarities.
Okay.
Like, even the intro to Legend of Zelda, refers to Ganon as the Prince of Darkness.
Well, that's pretty generic.
I know, it's super generic, and it probably... Yeah. Anyway, so... this movie is about this Is she a princess? Yeah, she's a princess.
Yes,
of course
she is the princess.
She's a princess, and she is in love with this boy of the forest, who is... That's Link.
Okay.
He wears green, he's a boy of the forest.
Yeah.
And that is Tom Cruise.
Minimal personality.
Yeah, I guess he wanted a boner, right? That's his personality.
Yeah, he's all, like, cute about it, though.
But meanwhile, there's this really evil dude named Darkness, played by Tim Curry.
Yeah.
And he's Satan.
He is Satan.
He is the most Satan.
Absolutely.
He's like Satan cranked up to 11.
Yeah, man, this was such an impressive Satan.
Yeah, my favorite
Holy
film
cow.
Satan.
Oh my gosh.
Probably, yeah, my favorite depiction of Satan on
This
film.
costume was amazing.
Yeah.
The horns were enormous. I can't imagine those horns working. You know, just the way that they look.
They're so big that when I was like 12 or 13, my buddy was spending the night at my house, and it was like 2 a.m. We were getting to sleep goofies, you know, and flipping through the channels, and we flipped past a shot of Darkness, and we just thought that his oversized horns were the funniest thing, and we could not stop laughing at how stupidly big his fucking horns were. Yeah. So anyway, you have...
He had big old hooves, too. And at one point in the movie, he actually runs. Like, Tim Curry
he's like
runs
on stilts or something.
On stilts, basically, yeah, with like gigantic hooves. And I was like, holy shit, he can run.
And a full, like, muscle suit.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
And he had, like, painful contact lenses and, like, all these prosthetics on his face, but it looked all amazing.
And it landed him the gig as Pennywise, I'm sure.
Yeah, that seems like it would have been a cakewalk compared to this.
Yeah. So Darkness wants to cast the world into darkness, and to do that, he needs to kill the beautiful unicorns. So he sends his goblins out, and they kill one of the unicorns, and it casts the whole world into like an eternal winter. And then they capture the princess, and Jack has to go on a quest to save the princess.
Is Tom Cruise.
Jack is Tom Cruise. He has to go on a quest to acquire some magical artifact, maybe, and just kill Darkness and save the princess.
Yeah, it's
very traditional.
Very traditional, but done so awesomely.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this after only having seen the director's cut. I know that tragically, after Ridley Scott hacked the movie up, people ended up hating it.
Yeah, it did not do very well.
I
in
think
theaters.
that people would not have hated the original cut with everything intact.
They shouldn't, because I mean, I could see people complaining about like, well, Jack's kind of like a non-character. I can't really relate to him.
But every other character in the movie has like so much personality. Like, okay, main dude, okay, he's like a pretty forest guy.
Yeah.
And everybody else, including the princess, tons of personality.
Yeah.
It's great.
So who are some of the other characters that Jack joins up with?
Oh, a bunch of elfy guys.
Yeah, you have
a fairy,
a Puck guy.
Girl.
He's not Puck, but he is Puck.
Yeah.
From Midsummer Night's Dream. He's basically naked in the winter. I mean, he's wearing like a loincloth. I don't know. He's one of those guys who he like looks like a kid, but he's actually like 18 or 20 or something at the time.
He was like 18 or something, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked very young, but he looked like he could have been in his late teens.
And then there's several dwarfs that are kind of joined up. And then a little fairy, like a Tinkerbell. Or a Navi.
Sure. Yeah, kind of scary looking.
Oh, yeah, she was.
In a cool way, I think.
I liked it. I wish the fairy was hotter.
Of course you do.
Of course I do.
Yeah, she looked great as a creepy fairy.
Everything looked great.
The
goblins looked great.
great.
The sets, like, they actually built this massive forest set.
Yeah.
With all these fake...
Huge. I think it was,
trees.
What, taking up the 007 set
the 007 set.
Which was also used for Little Shop of Horrors to make fake New York or fake Skid Row.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Well, they didn't have to worry about the forest set still being there because it got burned down during production of this movie. Yeah. And it's so tragic because it was a fucking gorgeous set.
Yeah.
Like,
huge,
I couldn't believe
beautiful.
How awesome that set looked.
Yeah, and they had like tons of animals like living in it.
And mostly birds.
Yeah, the birds made it out okay, apparently. Apparently
they survived
that was
the fire.
Yeah, that was like the first indication that there was a fire because all the birds were like escaping out of ventilation shafts or something like that. Oh, man. So I guess they were going to have, like, a big tracking shot and show like the whole forest and everything, but they didn't get to do that. They just had like they just had a test of it, and that's it.
Yeah, because it burned down the day they were going to shoot that.
Yeah.
Or the day before. So the sets were gorgeous, and they also had almost every scene, there was always like stuff fluttering through the air, you know, just to give more depth.
Chicken feathers.
And they're chicken feathers.
Right.
And Mia complained that for years she just would find chicken feathers and things. Or probably sparkles as well, because there's glitter. Yeah, glitter. Glitter everywhere.
Glitter all over their faces.
The most impressive thing was darkness, for sure. His costume. But
I was really...
Meg Mucklebones? Was that her fucking name?
Yes.
Mucklebones?
Meg Mucklebones was amazing.
She was a sea hag, I think.
Yes. Something like that.
Some kind of green hag creature that pops up out of the water.
But yeah, like a total face mask that could move like you couldn't believe.
Yeah,
like,
great articulation.
Incredible articulation. Like you could just see like, every molecule of this actor's expression made it through.
Right. That's impressive.
Holy shit. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything look as impressive as that. Like, I mean, any, like, special effect prosthetic like that.
What about darkness?
No, I think I was more impressed with Meg Mucklebones. I mean, there were aspects of darkness that were pretty unbelievable as well.
Like how big his horns were.
As big as horns were, and the fact that he could run in his giant hooves, and, like, he also had crazy prosthetics all over his face. But, man... I don't know, something about Meg Mucklebones looked like a living cartoon, and it was awesome.
Yeah. So I'm guessing a lot of people's problem with Legend is that it's just too generic. Like, it's just too high fantasy.
Yeah, that's a shitty excuse to not like this movie.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah. There needs to be a movie that tries to be the pinnacle of, like, this is a fairy tale, you know, but be, like, try to be unique at the same time. Mm-hmm. Like, this is the fairy tale movie experience.
Yeah. Like, they were very much trying to go for, like, the epitome of a fairy tale.
Right.
In a film, which is why they have unicorns and they have the generic princess who's get captured.
But she's not that generic. She's very mischievous, actually. Like, she's a pretty impish sort of princess. Not too terribly generic, I'd say. Like, she was all about being, like, pranksy and stuff. You know, she, like, secretly makes this woman's laundry go all over the place and just makes the woman think that, like, elves did it or something.
What a bitch. Just like Jennifer Connelly at the start of Labyrinth.
Yeah, except with, like, way more personality. You know, Jennifer Connelly and Tom Cruise, they should probably get together.
Why?
Because they both felt like, I don't know, cold actors or something. There was something cold about both of their characters in these movies. Cold brunettes. I don't know.
Cold, beautiful brunettes.
Cold, gorgeous brunettes.
Especially Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, they're both pretty gorgeous, I'd say.
Speaking of the princess character, in the original script, one of the original scripts, I know that went through lots of revisions, she was going to turn into, like, this furry cat creature, and the darkness character, her evil captor, was actually going to fuck her.
Yeah.
And a producer read that, and she was like, you can't have the villain fuck the princess. It was like her feedback on the script.
Yep.
So they had to change
She loved it other than that, I guess.
Yeah, loved to decide from the fact that the villain fucks the princess.
Yeah.
So that would have been awesome. I really wish that she
would have
turned it.
Thought that was awesome if he fucked the princess?
Yes.
No.
Especially if she's turned into, like, a Catwoman first.
What, did he fuck her as a Catwoman?
I imagine.
I don't know about that.
Because she, like, got into it. In the movie, they have her kind of, like, get gothed out with, like, her dress and stuff.
I don't know. That felt appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that's better than turning into a cat lady?
I have no idea, like, how they would have done it, but I don't think that he should have fucked her. That would have been weird.
I don't know.
I think it would have been weird.
Let's just to have a scene, to have that captured darkness fucking anything, I don't care. I just want to see darkness fucking something.
I don't need to see that. I don't need to see that. Oh yeah, she was also the instigator of all of the tragedy in this movie that befalls the land, which is a little more than mischievous. No, it's not. Her mischief, her curiosity and all that just did something a little worse than she expected it to, I would say.
Because she wanted to check out the unicorns?
Because she wanted to check out the unicorns.
Oh, and touch them. Touch the unicorns.
Yes.
Jack was like, what are you doing? You can't go near the unicorns. You know, they're
Mm-hmm.
too magical, too beautiful.
Yes. And she
No
was
mortal
like,
should do this, so.
no, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Fuck you, Jack. I'm going to go touch a unicorn.
Yeah, I just want to touch it, that's all. What's the harm in that?
It sounds to me like you're victim blaming. Like, I would say that the instigator of this was the evil guy who sent out his goblins to kill the unicorns and cast the world in eternal darkness.
Of course. But, you know.
But she had it coming.
Not at all.
That's totally what you're saying.
No, I'm saying that I loved that she was, you know, she had a little bit of fire in her. She had a little bit of rebelliousness, a little bit of mischief.
Like a Princess Leia.
I guess. Was she mischievous?
I don't know. No, she was spunky.
Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah. She wasn't impy.
Wait, what about the princess in Willow? She was like a warrior princess.
She wasn't impy at all.
You're right.
She's
wasn't
a
impy at
warrior.
all. Okay.
No, this was the impiest princess, probably. And I liked that. It was good. Even though she fucked up everything.
Yep.
Because she just couldn't keep her grubby hands off the unicorns. But no. I mean, those unicorns are gonna die anyway. Whatever.
Satan factor.
Do you even have to ask?
Satan factor was quite extreme.
Yeah.
This was super Satan factor. This is mega Satan factor.
Mm-hmm.
It was high in the stratosphere.
Oh, exosphere.
All right. Ninja factor, not so high. But you did have people slinking
Oh,
around.
yeah, they were sneaking all over that hell place.
Yeah. Actually, that was one of my issues with the movie, is that they don't go more places. Because the sets...
their set fucking burned down. What do you want?
know, their sets were so gorgeous. I wanted to see... I wish he would have had to, like, go collect more things or something before he goes to the Dark Guy's place. Halfway through the film, they go to the Dark Guy's lair, and they're like, well, I've seen this before. I know that the rest of the movie takes place there, and they're already there. So, okay, I guess we're at that point.
Whatever. It's pretty cool.
I'm just saying, that's one of my grievances with the film. 80s factor. This was, again, a very 80s fantasy film.
Well, even more 80s if you watch the Tangerine Dream version, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
All synths.
Yep.
All kind of dated, but, you know, obviously we don't mind that.
I didn't think it was as dated sounding as some other Tangerine Dream scores are.
Yeah, but
I mean, I like the datedness.
Yeah,
so
sure.
That's a plus to me, not a negative.
Oh, yeah, it's just, you know, we're talking about 80s factor. I'd say
Right.
that's more 80s than the traditional, timeless score of the original score.
Yeah. Well, I think that Jerry Goldsmith's score is more appropriate for the film, though.
It felt like it, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool to try to put some quirky soundtrack to this cool movie, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I like the original score.
Boob factor was pretty much non-existent with this. The princess...
Did Meg Mucklebones have boobs?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know.
They're probably in
I
there.
hope not.
I don't know. Wasn't she naked even? Maybe?
Maybe she's in rags or seaweed is covering shit up. I don't know. I don't know. Not much of a boob factor. The princess didn't have much going on in the boob department. The fairy didn't. They just don't do anything for me, just in general, babe-wise.
Eh.
Mia Sarah's pretty, but... Just,
I was gonna say, she's a pretty girl.
No Jennifer Connelly.
She's still pretty.
Yeah, so boob factor, we're moving on from that to... Pot-smoking hecklers ruining a film for an entire generation factor was pretty up there with this one.
Yeah, tragically true.
I wonder how often it is that you get one asshole in a test screening audience that just writes like the right thing on the comment card that will just trigger the director to be like, oh God, I gotta change this, or say the right heckle or whatever they do.
Yeah.
Or laugh at the wrong thing, whatever. And how many movies have just been like forever altered?
Yep.
Because of the actions of this one jackass.
Probably a few.
Probably a few. So overall rating of Legend.
You know, I think at first I said 4 out of 5, but the more I talk about how awesome this movie is, the more I want to give it like a 5 out of 5.
So you give
maybe
it
like a 4.5 out of 5. No, maybe I could just be generous and say 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5 Pentastars? I give it 4 out of 5 Pentastars.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't like super in love with all of the characters and all of the plot with all of my heart or anything like that. But damn it, those aspects were likable and I appreciated them a lot. And I loved so many aspects of this movie. And I am so saddened that it had to be so wrecked.
And
for so many people.
Disliked.
Yeah, and so disliked.
Yeah.
For the version that everybody had to see.
There's no guarantee that people would have liked the original cut.
But we don't know that. I mean, yeah, there is no guarantee.
I recommend the original. I mean, obviously, we both recommend the original cut. They're the director's cut.
Right.
I mean, not the theatrical cut. Check out the director's cut.
Check it out. Check it out on Blu-ray. Check it out with all of your being.
And then go play some Legend of Zelda.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking forward to the thumbnail for this episode in particular. I don't know what you're going to draw yet, but...
boy, you'll see.
Now it better be good.
Yeah,
I'll have to cut this.
I have no idea. We'll see what I come up with. Hopefully it's amazing.
All right. If you have any questions or comments, go to SatanNinja.com. You can find our contact info there. You can also find our super awesome 80s themed comic there, Satan Ninja 1980X. I write it. Jessica does all the art.
Yes.
And it's amazing.
It is.
Yeah. So, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.